Yes, the country that put a man on the moon again to get that done. So by March of 2025, 2 months after I take office, our southern border is sealed. Our northern border is on its way to being sealed. By December of 2025, most of our mass deportations are underway. We're well underway to restoring the rule of law in the United States of America. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country, okay? Not xenophobic. In fact, I think it's disrespectful of the people who do come to this country illegally to say this is part of the same issue. It's offensive. So nobody's going to call me xenophobic or racist because I do it. This is me swearing as your next president an oath to the Constitution, and it's my job to keep it. And yes, it might be nice to have a president for once that when we swear an oath to the Constitution has actually read it. That's my duty, and I'm going to keep it. Hope that answers your question, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yep. That's what it is. Yep. It's not justice. It's injustice. We don't have a justice system, we have an injustice system right now. So I'm the only candidate who has said this to you with clarity. Any peaceful protester on January 6th will, on day one, not in the last day in office, January 20th, 2025, will get a pardon. Guys like Owen Schroyer, who had no crime other than just saying in a megaphone, 1776. That's what he said. He didn't even enter the Capitol. Convicted. Douglas Mackey made a meme poking fun at Hillary Clinton supporters with Christina Wong, a Clinton supporter, did the same thing to Trump supporters. She's a comedian. She gets laughed at. She gets viral views. This man gets a prison sentence. This is not justice. And I want you to pause on this one. I don't mean to be, this is not me boasting or anything. It's just the truth. Because you have a choice to make. Why am I the only candidate in this race who can tell you that I'm going to do it? The only candidate in this race who can tell you Ronna McDaniel needs to resign after 5 failed years as a chairwoman of the RNC. The only person, I know it's not affecting this part of the state as much, but other parts it is. The carbon capture pipeline, the CO2 pipeline that they're building across the state using eminent domain to violate the private property rights of innocent farmers in this state and soon to be others like it. Why am I the only person who can tell you these things? I told you it's because every politician is dancing to the tune of their biggest donor. And in my case, that biggest donor is me. I don't report to them. I report to you, people of this country. And so day one, it'll be the peaceful January 6th protesters, to Donald Trump, to Julian Assange, to Douglas Mackey, to Ross Ulbricht, to countless others. Day one, they will get a pardon on my watch. And I'll tell you this, if you want to save Trump, you vote for him. They will not let this man get anywhere near the White House. Open your eyes, people. If I wasn't running in this race, I'd be voting for Trump, no doubt about it. I've been a big supporter of his. I've been a big supporter of his even while I'm running for president. I've been, I said I would take my name off the ballot in Colorado and in Maine, if that's what it came to. If they take his name off the ballot, that's the right thing. I called on every other Republican to do the same thing. There's brazen election interference going on right now in our own GOP primary. There's stuff they're doing to me. I mean, I'll tell you about the mainstream media, their games they're playing, but that's, forget about that. The big one, they're trying to take Donald Trump off the ballot. I said, if every other Republican also takes our name off the ballot in Colorado or Maine, then we nullify their effect on our primary. So I said I would, and I'll keep my pledge. I asked Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Chris Christie and whoever these other people are to do the same thing. They refuse to do it. They need to collect their delegates. So the cancer really isn't just in the Democratic Party. It's in our own party. That's what we need to wake up and see. The Republican Party does not appreciate me saying that I'll pardon peaceful January 6th protesters. That's not something that the Republican Party wants us saying. But it takes, if you want somebody who's going to get in there and actually face down the deep state and speak truth to power, vote for the candidate who's going to speak the truth to you. And if you have some hope that they're going to let Donald Trump anywhere near the White House, think again. Open your eyes, people. They are selling us the ropes today that they will use to hang us tomorrow. Don't fall for their trick. You got the future of America first standing right here. We owe it to this country to make sure this movement, our movement, does not end with this man. It started in 1776 with George Washington, who was the first America First conservative. We got 250 years and more yet to go. So and I'll pardon him on day one. We love the man because he got this fight started, but it is our job to finish it. And at a certain point, you become constrained yourself. You get to be an outsider once. From January 6th to the CO2 pipeline, there's a reason I'm the only candidate who's able to take this on. I'm in this because I believe it's my moral duty to take the America First movement to the next level. And I'm asking you to open your eyes and not fall into the trap that the other side has laid for us in the process. I hope that answers your questions. Go right to you, young man, and then we'll go to this gentleman right here, and we'll come to the back. Okay, you can go ahead. No, it's okay. Just go ahead and start, and then we'll go to the young man with the mic. I can tell that man doesn't need a mic. You keep the mic. That man had a built-in one. Like me. Thank you. They're waiting to. I've talked to many young people serving in the military. They would rather be doing that than where they're deployed.
I'd rather keep the weights any day.
Yep.
Against. I also think many of the laws in the states are unconstitutional too. The states don't get an exemption from the Second Amendment. Well, I think a lot of them are unconstitutional. They just need to be challenged in court.
Let's say, God forbid, the liberals bring a bill.
So, what was it? Oh, yeah, we're going after the car patrol routes. These dumb cowboys actually hard copies. So you're just gonna hop in the trunk of a security guard's car?
Yeah, what they call the assault weapons ban. I mean, it's like they don't even know the characterization. It's not even actually, they don't even know what they're talking about. It's not even banning the weapons they think they have in mind. It's just as a cosmetic thing with the assault weapons ban. So I spoke, I've given some speeches on this earlier this year. Some people challenge me. What does AR-15 stand for? It stands for freedom, actually. That's what it stands for. The Second Amendment is the one amendment that protects all the other ones. It's the one that gives the teeth to the First Amendment. The First Amendment is the most important one. It says you get to speak your mind freely and you get to worship freely. But you don't get the First Amendment unless you have the Second. China offers you. Their Bill of Rights is so long, it's like, America only has 10. They have like 1,000 different articles in Iran, too. They don't have a Second Amendment. Without that, none of the rest matter. Even history teaches us. Black Americans did not enjoy their freedoms in the United States after the Civil War until they got their Second Amendment rights. Actually, this was the exchange I had with Don Lemon earlier during this campaign. He made his head explode, and then he lost his job over that. But because for these people, just to understand how they think, civil rights bad, civil rights good, Second Amendment bad. And he's saying they go together. He lost his mind over this. But that's what we have to understand. It's actually, this is the amendment that actually gives us every one of our other rights. And so silly stuff like the ATF, the bump stock ban, what is that? It was just a made-up rule. They're just writing it from the hip. Congress never even passed that. That's unconstitutional. And so when I say we're shutting down agencies, I said we'll shut down the FBI, the ATF, the CDC, the U.S. Department of Education. The ATF's on that list for a reason. Most of their behaviors are unconstitutional. That ends on my watch. We're shutting down the ATF, and any law that's passed will be pursuant to the highest law of the land, the U.S. Constitution. That's the answer to the question. I think it's cut and dry. Now, what do you do with the violence epidemic? You're a cop. You understand this. Thank you for your service, sir. Don't remove guns from law-abiding citizens. Remove psychiatrically ill and dangerous people from their communities. Have the courage to do that. Bring back the psychiatric health institutions to deal with the mental health epidemic in this country. My mother was a geriatric psychiatrist. She used to work in the VA treating veterans with PTSD. We're not doing enough to address that mental health epidemic. Young people are lost, hungry for purpose and meaning. Fill that vacuum with our vision of what it means to be an American, instead of then teaching them to go to Ben & Jerry's and order a cup of ice cream with some social justice sprinkles on top. That's what we teach them to do today. You don't satisfy a moral hunger with fast food. We got to step up and do the real thing. But this cosmetic nonsense of pretending like this was actually, the cause was an instrument rather than the mental health epidemic that causes people to misuse those instruments. That's how we actually protect our children, protect the next generation. I said we shut down the Department of Education. For 25% or less of that budget, you could put 3 to 4 armed security guards in every school in this country. That's how you protect our children. So do the real thing, not the fake thing. That's where I'm at on it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Oh, nice. I appreciate it, brother.
I don't appreciate and I'm also quite worried about the consequences.
Yes.
So I'm wondering how you on that the next generation.
Thank you, man. And you deserve to ask that question. So first of all, college has exploded in cost in part because of federal subsidies that have bloated the managerial class, the associate deans of God knows what, diversity, this, that, and the other thing. My first book was called Woke Inc. This is a few years ago, exposing the wokeism spread in this country before people were paying attention to that. One of the things we found is the university systems that had the most proliferation of those middle management, and it turns out the swamp doesn't just live in government, it lives in every sphere of our lives, in our universities too. They're the ones that saw the biggest tuition increases. A university like Purdue, that hasn't actually seen that, has had its tuition stay, not adjusted for inflation, absolute terms flat over 10 years. So this is achievable. But that's part of how you make college more affordable. Some of this is, a lot of people should be able to pursue options other than college. 1 year or 2 year programs. I mean, I went to 4 year college and that was the right choice for me. But my path can't be the only path. We need 1 year or 2 year paths for vocational education for people for whom that's a better choice. And then as it just relates to the broader cost, housing, energy, etc., a lot of the regulations coming from the federal government are what's driving inflation in this country. Energy costs are spiking because we have constrained drilling and fracking. Rescind those unconstitutional regulations on the energy sector. They didn't come from Congress, so the good news is I can do that as your U.S. president. Negate them because they're unconstitutional. It goes back to swearing an oath to the Constitution. So we drill, frack, burn coal, and race nuclear. That brings down the cost of energy, brings down the cost of everything else. We have land use restrictions, regulations, that stop people from building new housing or plots in certain land. A lot of young people want not necessarily a giant house, but a smaller starter home. Those aren't being built today because of those regulations. Rescind them. I don't know if you're an economics or business major or not, but okay, all right. I'm wondering there, you're paying attention to the economy. What's the laws of supply and demand? Increases the supply of housing, that brings down the cost. That grows the economy and makes it more affordable. For that matter, the same thing with labor. Unlock the supply of labor. Stop paying people more money to stay at home, using our money to do it, than for them to go to work. Put people back to work in this country. That's how you grow this economy. That's how you have small businesses like this one that can fill those open positions. So for me, and a lot of this is second nature. I've built multi-billion-dollar businesses. I think it takes a CEO in the White House to get this done, but also somebody who understands the law and the Constitution. This is so we owe it to your generation. Make sure you don't have that $200,000 of somebody else's debt, national debt on your shoulder. Top that off with somebody else's gun over your shoulder in a trench fighting World War III. Those are the two things I can promise your generation I will keep you out of. And you want to fight that national debt without introducing Social Security or Medicare, which is what half the Republican Party wants to do. I talk about America first. You want to know what America last is? It's basically the Republican Party's platform in many cases. Cut Social Security and Medicare to ship more money to Ukraine. That's what most Republicans want to do. Forget the Ukraine war. We're going to end that in reasonable terms. Let's negotiate a peace treaty. But here, addressing our national debt, I'll tell you how to do it. Get the oil and gas out from underneath our ground. Sell it. Buy down $8 trillion of our national debt. Avoid the Ukraine, which is Iraq 2.0, and the kinds of mistakes that added $7 trillion to our national debt from Iraq and Afghanistan. Fire 75% of the federal bureaucrats. Our national debt problem's behind us. We haven't touched Social Security and Medicare. And as your business major, I'll add just one more bit. I'll tell you, we could actually increase Social Security benefits. We should. Many people can't afford to make their ends meet right now because it hasn't kept up with inflation. Here's how you do it. Without touching or adding to the national debt. If when the people who are collecting Social Security were your age, if we had allowed them in the Social Security Trust Fund to just have that invested in the same way your financial advisor would tell you, diversifying it across stocks and treasuries and bonds, the average person collecting $1,800 per month would be collecting $18,000 per month in Social Security. Think about an $18,000 a month check in your mailbox. It might make a bit of a difference. That's government malpractice of the highest order. It's going to take a CEO in the White House to fix it. You have my word. Thank you, man. Last question to you, sir. You get the final word. And our own veterans aren't.
23 and a half years of service.
I know it well, sir.
Because I know that ICE doesn't have the money to reimburse the system.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't.
The funds aren't there. And for them to be able to go to
It's wrong.
VA, but our veterans not here is a slap.
It's sick. It's disgusting. A country that doesn't stand for its own veterans who have served its own country is not a nation. It's a plot of land that's pretending to be a nation. We have a crisis of national pride. I mean, people your age, sir. What's your name? Adam's age. Many young people, they're saying we don't want to serve in the military. We have a 25% recruitment deficit. Part of the reason is they're not stupid. They say, if this is how you treat your veterans on the back end, why on earth would I serve on the front end? So we've offered comprehensive veterans policy. I'm the only candidate to do this, right? I mean, it's not part of the standard talking points. It doesn't grab headlines, but it's details on how we deal with this. I've been a CEO. You know who sets the pay of a CEO of a public company or the CFO? It's the shareholders. I want to treat our veterans as the shareholders of the VA. Every veteran in this country is the one who actually gets to set the pay of the people who are actually running the show and hiring or firing the people at the top. That'll make that system much more accountable to our own veterans. And some basic things we can do for our veterans who come back from combat roles. Give them 6-week paid decompression buffers before you thrust them back into civilian life. You bring down PTSD by 80% that way. Give them privacy restrictions so they're not tagged with the red flag law, which many of them are then afraid to report their PTSD. Basic things we could do. I think we should have medical choice for veterans who don't have it today for Schedule I substances instead of fentanyl and suicide, which they're choosing today. I think veterans' benefits should not be subject to taxation. Anybody who's actually being paid while they're in the U.S. military, anybody serving, that shouldn't be taxed. These are people who are serving the country. That's a tiny, it doesn't affect our federal budget. It's like it doesn't even matter. You know, say, we stand with our troops. I remember when Joe Biden says that, or anybody, frankly, any politician of both parties says, shut up, you don't mean it. Actions speak louder than words. That's where I land. And so we have to actually stand with voting with our feet and our actions. Not just the lip service that actually is failing to stand for those who have served this country. And that's what we have right now. So we have a crisis of national pride in the United States. We've lost our sense of who we even are. People my age, I'm 38 years old. I'm the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president in our party. I'll be your youngest president ever when elected. Our generation, we are lost. We are hungry for purpose and meaning and identity. And the left is very good at this. They'll fill that vision with race and gender and sexuality and climate. And here we are as Republicans sitting around just criticizing that vision without offering a vision of our own. That's why I'm in this race. I'm in this race to lead us to something, back to our vision of what it means to be American, what it means to be a citizen of this nation. To put America first, we now have to rediscover what America is. And I think that's on one hand going to take an outsider, willing to break glass, willing to break the system when necessary, but also an outsider who knows and understands the law and the Constitution of this country. And so I come back to what I said earlier. You all have a choice to make. On January 15th. I'm asking you to take about 30 minutes of your time to save this country. Tell 10 people in this community what we talked about. Bring them too. We don't have a lot of time before we get this done, and that's what I'm asking for. And if you do your part, I'm going to do mine. I can't leave you hanging, sir. They're about to drag me out, but I can't leave you hanging with your hand up. So let me know. Last question. No, you get it. You get it. We'll give you the final word, and then we're going to wrap this. Well, here's the answer. I'll give you the short answer on this. I give it a long speech elsewhere, but let's bring this up. Thomas Jefferson, I don't know how old he was when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. He was 33. 33. Young man. I'm an old man by comparison. The Declaration of Independence that he would sign today is our declaration of independence from Communist China. We can't depend on our enemy for our modern way of life. So I'd sit down with Xi Jinping and say, after we've done our own homework on beginning the onshoring process to the United States, open up relationships even with Japan and India and South Korea to fill in some of the gaps. The reality is I'm not a magician. I want to onshore as much as possible, but we got to combine that with actually closing some of the other gaps. Then to sit across the table from Xi Jinping and say, we're cutting the cord. We're done. We will not depend on you for providing our military equipment, our F-35 jets, for God's sakes. Most of our military equipment is made in China. Why on earth do we have a military if its equipment production depends on our enemy to provide it? That doesn't make any sense. Our pharmaceuticals, 95% of the medicines in your medicine cabinet come from China. The same country that unleashed hell on the world with a man-made pandemic in a lab. The same country that's lacing the illegal pills coming across the southern border of Mexico with fentanyl. What do you think they're going to do to the legal pharmaceutical supply chains? We got to think clearly, people. You asked the right question. I will declare economic independence from China. That's going to actually put China in a much tougher spot than us, so then they're going to finally come back on their knees, having to play by the same set of rules, and then we'll consider it on our terms. That's what it takes, a president with a spine to sit across the table from Xi Jinping. They got a Chinese word. It's called Baizuo. I don't know if you're familiar with it. B-A-I-Z-U-O. It's a Mandarin word. It refers to progressive white people in the United States, and they use it to laugh at us. It's like the Soviets equivalent. They had a term in the Cold War called useful idiot. That's what China says in Mandarin about us. They're laughing at us. A climate agenda that's shackling the U.S. while leaving China untouched. We're done with that. That ends on my watch. We'll declare independence from the climate cult just as we declare independence from China. It's how we bring back production to the United States, and the trade relationship and the trade balance sorts itself out. And if we do these things, guys, I mean this. We've had a bit of a heavy conversation here. But I want to leave you with this. I don't think I could tell you this 8 years from now. I don't even think I could tell you this 4 years from now. But if we get this right now, and the interest payments on our national debt, if those ever become the largest line item in our federal budget, that's about 5 years from now, we're done. We're in quicksand then. But now I can tell you this. If we get this right now, we don't have to be this nation in decline. We don't have to be at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. I think as a nation right now, we're really a little young, actually. That's the way I'd like to see it. Going through our own version of our adolescence. Figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, it makes sense again. You go through that adolescence, you go through that identity crisis. You lose your way. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. We're 250 years in. We will not be the generation. Let us not be the generation that ends when our founding fathers began. We owe it to them. You have a choice to make on January 15th. I told you there's a trap they're leading you into. Do not fall into their trap. Think for yourself, even if it's counterintuitive. I'm trusting you guys. Our founding fathers are trusting us to see past this, to make sure we have 250 years left to go. And if we do, I believe we still can be a nation in our ascent. I'm not going to tell you that it's morning in America right now, because it's not. But it can be. I can't look a young person in the eye and tell them the American dream is alive and well right now. It's not. It's alive and hanging on for life support. But it can be. So if you all do your part, that's what I'm asking for. Bring 10 people with you to the Iowa caucus. Tell them what we talked about here. I promise you, my family and I, we will do ours to make sure, not in some cheesy politician way, but in a true way, make sure that our country's best days are actually ahead of us. That we'll look our kids in the eye and mean it when we tell them you get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that you know what? You are free to speak your minds. And every step of the way, that is the American dream. That is what we are running to. With your help, that is what we will revive. Thank you for coming today, guys. God bless you and your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. Thank you.
What's your name?
Thank you.
I love all your kids.
We're going to turn them into reality.
Godspeed to help our country.
We'll not stop till we get it done, okay? Oh, yeah, that's fine. I'll tell you about it. I put more responsibility on men. If a man is confirmed with a genetic paternity test to be the father, the woman should be able to make him responsible for raising the child. That's what I say. Yes, we did actual equality. Thank you for that. And speaking as a man, a father, that speaks to me too. That's what it means to actually stand for life. Thank you. It's nice meeting you guys. Thank you. Oh, we're late? Where are we headed? Very late. Oh, Pascal's Pizza in Humboldt. Okay, they're gonna Pasquale's. Good. I'm excited about that. Good to see you guys. Thank you, guys. Spread the message in this community. Thank you, guys.
You are a bitch!
Good. Now drive over to the morgue. We're gonna see if he passes someone who spends a lot of time with corpses. The heat really isn't gonna help.
That'll stick with me. Yeah. Thank you. It speaks to me. That speaks to me. Yes, so let's do one right here. Thank you. Thank you all. Take care, guys. Thank you. Happy New Year. Yeah, thank you for again. Turn down a veteran. Thank you. You're welcome. It means a lot, man. We got your back, okay? And your former colleagues, too. I know you said you're retired, but your colleagues have got it. Oh, good. There's cool signage in the door just inside there. I just was going to leave it. Oh, thank you. What's your name, sir? Joel. Thank you. Family. Joel. Got it. We'll give this pen to work in, man. How old are you, buddy?
11.
Proud of you for being here. Yes, we'll love that. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your support. Let's work hard, okay? Thank you. The last one, man. Good to see you, buddy. Adam. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Oh, gosh, I cannot say no to that. I got it. There you go. Okay.
For that picture. That
Come on in. Now you got it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to do our part.
All right.
Spread this message for us. Thank you, ladies. It's good to see you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, thanks for being here. Nice. Meet you.
Search his pockets for his pass before anyone sees you. Well, he wasn't going to use it. This pass should give us access to the level 2 doors in the back area of the casino.